Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Kendra, the founder of the 180 Collection, and today we are just going to sit down and chat about something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and that's how stress affects our hair, okay? You know how it is. One day your hair is fine, and then the next day it's like, where did it go? We've all been there, right? So I've been doing some digging and I found some things that will actually help, and you can start putting these things in place today. All right. So stick around. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Okay. Let's get into it. All right. So here we go. Hello. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome in. Those of you that do not know me, my name is Kendra. I'm the founder of the 180 Collection. Okay. So we make all natural hair care products to help women that are dealing with hair loss issues. Tonight we are diving into a topic that touches a lot of us, okay, even though we may not always talk about it, and that is stress and how it affects our hair, okay? So yes, you heard that right. Our hair really does react to the stress or how we're feeling. And tonight we're going to unpack that a little bit and hopefully give you some information and some insight that will help you. Okay. So here's a little fun fact to kick things off. Did you know that your hair can actually absorb pollutants from the air? Okay. This actually adds to the stress that your strands or that your hair experiences. Okay. So it's almost like your hair is holding on to the day just as much as you are. And thinking of it in that way should kind of make you think, right? So here's what we got lined up for tonight. We'll start by exploring or talking about how stress impacts your hair. Okay. We'll move on into some do's and don'ts that'll help you keep your hair thriving. And then we'll wrap up with some stories or some questions if you have them. No pressure if you don't. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts and your questions in the comments as we go along. As always, I'm here to help. Okay. So getting started, part one of this little conversation, right? Understanding stress and hair health. So if you've ever had one of those days, we've all had them, or even one of those weeks where everything seems like it's just not going right. Okay. Everything seems to be going wrong. And then to top it off, your hair starts acting out as well. Well, there is a bit of science behind that. And it all centers around this hormone that you've probably heard of, and it's called cortisol. Cortisol is actually referred to as the stress hormone because our bodies release that hormone in response to stress. So a little bit of cortisol is fine. It's normal because it helps us to react to immediate needs. So think about if a dog is chasing you, you want that cortisol to start pumping because you need to have the reaction to know what to do, to run, to whatever it is that you need to do. Okay. But when you are constantly on edge, when you are constantly experiencing stressful situations, the cortisol starts playing a bit too much of a role, so to speak. So it is not normal for you to constantly be in a stressed out state. Okay. It is not normal for your body to be constantly producing cortisol. Okay. It affects your body in many ways, but of course your hair is definitely one. So here's how it works. High levels of cortisol can shift your hair follicles from the growing phase, okay, which is called the anagen. Remember, our hair goes through a 3-part growth cycle. The growing phase is the anagen phase, and then the resting phase is known as the telogen phase. So when too many follicles decide to go into the resting phase or the telogen phase at the same time, that's when you start seeing more hair fall out. That's when you start seeing more hair in your brush and in your comb, and you look in your hair and it looks thinner, right? And it's not just about the hair falling out. Stress can impact the quality of new hair that grows, okay, which can lead to strands that are thinner and weaker. So it's almost like a double whammy. Not only do you have less hair that's growing, but the hair that does actually grow isn't very healthy or very strong. So let me share a little story to bring this whole thing to life for you. Okay. So I had a customer or client, let's call her Mia. Okay. Because I don't want to use her real name. Mia was going through a particularly rough patch. She had just got this high level promotion at her job. Okay. Which was full of demanding deadlines, right? And then she had a parent that had gotten really, really sick, okay? And then, of course, just the normal day-to-day things that stress us out, right? So you name it, she was dealing with it. And so then her hair, right, it was feeling the strain too. It became very brittle. very dull and dry. And then, of course, it was shedding more than normal. But here's where it gets interesting. So Mia noticed her hair loss, and instead of buying more products to deal with her hair loss, she decided to tackle her stress, right? So she did make some small changes, mindfulness exercises like meditation. She started focusing more on exercises like taking walks out in nature, setting aside time in her schedule for me time, right? And starting to kind of focus some of her time on her hair care, right? And so slowly but surely, her stress levels did begin to decrease by just making these small changes, and her hair began to bounce back. Now, I know some of y'all are thinking, girl, I know her hair didn't start growing back because she started doing meditation and taking long walks in the park. No, I'm not saying that it happened overnight. Okay. It's important to remember that everyone's journey is different. All right. Mia's story is Mia's story, right? It's a powerful reminder that taking care of your internal or your mental well-being can have visible effects right down to your hair. So it was more important that Mia dealt with the stress than it was to deal with the hair loss, because most of the time, 99.999% of the time, our hair loss is a symptom of a bigger problem. Many people look at hair loss as a problem. Hair loss is a symptom. Okay. So we need to remember when dealing with that, there's an internal aspect and an external. It's perfectly fine to buy products, but also we need to kind of think about, okay, what is the external thing that could be causing, or the internal thing, that could be causing the hair loss. Okay. So moving on to part 2, the do's and don'ts of stress management for hair care. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what we can actively do and avoid, right, to help our hair thrive, even in the midst of our busy and stressful lives. Because listen, life be lifing. Okay, I already know that it goes without saying. So, but there are a few things that we can do. So let's start with the do's. Okay, so regular exercise. It's not just good for the body. It is good for the hair too. Why? Because exercise increases blood flow. And what happens when we exercise? We get our blood flowing, our heart pumping. Our heart pumps the blood into our major organs, including your hair follicles. Okay. That's how your follicles get nutrients and blood flow to the scalp. Okay. So whether it's a brisk walk or a dance party in your living room, sometimes me and my kids, we just turn up the radio and we just dance in the living room before we go to bed. And it helps to improve our mood, to get our energy flowing, and it helps us to sleep better at night for some reason, right? So whatever works for you, the thing is just get your body moving, because that is a great way to keep your stress and your hair problems under control. Okay. And then the next thing, this is the one that we tend to struggle with the most, and that is a balanced diet. Our hair is like a garden. Okay. Let's use the garden analogy. It needs the right nutrients to grow strong and to grow healthy. It needs the right environment to grow strong and to grow healthy. So foods rich in vitamins, minerals, proteins, like after you're an adult, you know what it means to eat healthy. Okay. But just for the purposes of tonight's live, balanced diet. Okay. And then more importantly, or just as importantly, hydration. Drinking a lot of water helps every part of your body, your major organs down to your hair health. Okay. It's like giving your hair a drink from the inside out. Okay. So a proper hair care routine. That's another one. This means being gentle with your hair. Many of us don't know what a proper hair care routine is. Again, this is something that we are going to dive deep into. But just for the purposes of this live, when I say a proper hair care routine, I mean being gentle with your hair, with the combing and the styling, especially when your hair is wet, avoiding overheating with the styling tools, choosing the right products. And by the right products, I mean products that are organic, all natural, plant-based, food-based products, ones that nourish and hydrate. We'll also get into how to find products for your hair type. Okay. So doing scalp massages, doing sauna therapy. So if you have a gym membership and they have a sauna there, it's an excellent way to help remove the toxins from your body, of course, but also to open the pores in your scalp and to cleanse your body again from the inside out. So sauna therapy is amazing. Okay. Techniques for stress management. So here's where you can get as personal as you want to, whether it's meditation, yoga, deep breathing. All these things have one thing in common, and that is bringing you back to the present. Okay. Bringing you back to yourself, right? reducing your stress levels. Even if you just do it 5 minutes a day, it can make a difference, right? Okay, so those are the do's. Now here are the don'ts, right? So we're avoiding, first things first, we're avoiding avoiding harsh treatments, right? So listen, I know we all love a new look, okay? But frequent coloring, perming and relaxing, straightening, the overheating, these things cause stress to our hair big time, okay? If you're dealing with stress-related issues, it might be a good time to give your hair a break from chemicals and heat because you're just adding stress to the stress. The stress that you're feeling from the inside is causing stress to your follicles from the inside. If you add stress on the outside in terms of how you treat your hair, that's what I mean by you're adding stress to the stress, okay? Now, here's one issue that many of my customers struggle with, and that is believing in quick fixes, okay? This is a tough one, especially if you are frantic about your hair loss or your hair health, and then you become desperate for results. That desperation can lead you to switching from product to product to product, okay, and not giving products enough time to work. This can add to your stress, okay? We're, again, adding stress to the stress. Find a routine or find a set of products that you like, okay, and stick with it. That's the thing. Sometimes our hair needs time to adjust, okay? Your hair likes consistency just like everything else, okay? You have to find a product and stick with it. Patience is truly a virtue when it comes to your hair care, okay? And so another one is neglecting your scalp health. Your scalp health is the foundation of your hair's well-being, point blank, period, okay? Avoid products that dry out your scalp and cause irritation. If you start using something and you notice, man, my scalp is like really irritated, stop using it, okay? The foundation of a healthy hair is a healthy scalp. You cannot circumvent that. You cannot override that. You can't ignore that. Okay. And one last thing is reducing your caffeine and your sugar intake. So I know. We love our morning coffee. We love our daily sweet treats. Okay. Our candies, cookies, cakes, whatever it is that you like to indulge in. But caffeine and sugar can spike your stress levels. Spiking your stress levels in turn is affecting your hair. Okay. So just try to moderate your intake, especially if you know that you are dealing with a stressful situation. Okay. Now, I know I went through those really quick and I probably didn't give a whole lot of detail, but this is just something that you can integrate into your daily lives right now today if you are dealing with stressful situations and your hair is suffering. A lot of times, our hair has a delayed reaction to stress. Okay, what do I mean by that? Say, for instance, you're dealing with a stressful situation today. Today is February 29th, 2024. That hair loss may not show up for another 6 months. Why is that? Again, the hair growth cycle. Okay, so you have your growth phase, your resting phase, and your shedding phase, right? It may be, like I said, 3 to 6 months before you start noticing that you have more hair loss than normal. Because remember, your hair sheds 30 to 100 strands per day. That's normal because all of the hairs on your head are not in the same part of the growth cycle at the same time. You have some parts of your hair that are in the shedding, some like it's not all the hairs are not in the same phase at the same time. So seeing 50 to 100 hairs shedding per day is normal. But over time, you don't really notice as it's happening. But again, 6 months from now, you might look at your hair and be like, dang, when did that happen? It's always been happening. Okay. So again, if you're going through a stressful situation now, it may seem like your hair is fine now, but if you know you're going through a stressful situation, these are things that you can do right now today. So that's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you're not feeling the effects of it and then wondering what the heck is going on. And then you're spending money at a dermatologist, you're spending money at the doctor, and they don't know because you haven't really taken the time to assess the situation. Okay, so I've gone on way longer on that than I planned, but I hope that information was helpful. I really wanted to help to make sure you understand how stress really can affect your hair health, and it is not always right when it happens. Okay, but if you have any stress busting techniques or something that has worked for you that I didn't mention, please leave it in the comments because I promise you your sisters are out here in these streets struggling, trying to figure out what they can do to help minimize their hair loss. Okay, I'm going to share a quick tip that I've personally found helpful for me when dealing with stress. And Some of y'all may find it corny, but I don't care. It works for me. Okay. And that is journaling. Okay. I have journals everywhere in my house. Everywhere that I spend time, on my couch, next to my couch, there's a journal. Next to my bed, there's a journal. In my workspace, there's a journal. In my purse, there is a journal. In my car, sometimes there will be a journal. Writing, for whatever reason, for whatever it does for me psychologically, helps. I know sometimes people start with just writing like 3 things they're grateful for. Okay. If that works for you, do that. I don't do that. I just write. Whether it's how I feel, who made me mad that day, who got on my nerves, I just write. And sometimes I have journaled in times of my life where I was really, really stressed. And I have journaled in times of my life where things were going really, really good. So to look back and to see like my growth and my progress is amazing. It definitely helps me. So it could help you as well. I just wanted to give that tip. Okay. Let me see if I covered all my notes. If y'all saw me looking over, that's because I'm reading my notes. It's been a minute. I used to could just memorize like most of my script or most of my topics, but I just ain't got it like that right now. So if you're not already following our page, please do that. Again, if you have questions, always, you can come to this video, drop them in the comments. If not, sign up for my email list. My blog post is full of information. I have a blog on the website. I try to upload a blog weekly. So there's always tools and information there as well. Good night and goodbye. I see you next week. And that's a wrap, folks. I really hope that you picked up a few things that'll make you feel a bit more at ease with your hair. It's all about taking those little steps to help to reduce stress, not just for your mind, but for your hair as well. If you tried any of the tips that we talked about, or if you've got some of your own, I'd love to hear them. So drop a comment below. Okay. If you enjoyed our time together today, why not consider liking this video and sharing it with someone who also may need a little hair piece. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There is plenty more where this came from. Take care, stay relaxed, and I'll see you next time.